If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
Movie that is literally a giant Taco Bell commercial opens with a literal shot of the Hollywood sign on fire without a trace of irony.
Sometimes I am utterly baffled by the things you think are sins. I mean, it's one thing to suggest this is literally a giant Taco Bell commercial, even though it's not. For one, that's not what literally means, and two, they don't show a single Taco Bell item, meaning it's literally not an advertisement for the restaurant. But it's an entirely different thing to say, without a trace of irony. It's like, have you not seen this movie before? This film is quite specifically a satire, and the last I checked, that means they're doing this purposefully.
Well, Lakers got Kobe and Shaq that year, so I'm in awe the civilians of Los Angeles would demonstrate this level of vandalism. Sure, it's the same year Kazam had a theatrical release, understood, but still a sin.
I think the sin is that you think Angelinos are above vandalizing their city because of sports personalities. Fam, they specifically vandalized the city for that reason.
LAPD sends the all-Humvee squad to this emergency.
Jeremy looks at the set from Terminator and questions why the cops would need war vehicles.
Terrorists who don't want to be found make policemen's job easier by pinpointing their exact locations with the use of searchlights.
This is Simon Phoenix we're talking about. I don't think he's trying to hide from the cops, especially while he's engaged in a ground war with them. In a later scene, he specifically states he threatened the cops to stay away, and they actually listened, meaning they already know where he is and avoid him.
See, I told the city, I said, look, nobody comes down here. Postmen figured it out. Policemen figured it out. But the goddamn bus drivers just wouldn't listen.
This is the coolest punch ever, but is he psychic or what? Does he have spidey sense?
For people that don't know anything about lighting, what Jeremy just asked kinda makes sense. For those of us that know a thing or two, we understand that in this shot, there is a rim light lighting the rear and side of this terrorist's face. This means there is either a light behind him or slightly to his right at the rear, either of which would cast a shadow that Spartan should be able to see. He's also running, which means he should be able to hear him as well.
Evil guy has set up this random warehouse he escaped to with video cameras so that he knows when his enemy has arrived.
The fact that he has security cameras should be your first clue that he didn't escape to this random warehouse. You're the kind of dude that has the teacher-provided cheat sheet and still fails the test.
That is a lot of barrels of flammable liquid for him to have carted here and set up in advance, but whatever. Are we in the future yet?
You just said it was a warehouse, Jeremy. Barrels with gasoline are not entirely out of place in a setting like this. Where do you think you store these kinds of barrels?
Last time, Phoenix. Where are the hostages?
Where are they, Phoenix?
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Spartan tells Phoenix this is the last time he'll ask for the hostage's location, which is a horrible hostage negotiating tactic, by the way. Then he asks a second time, revealing he's not a man of his word. John Spartan doesn't just shoot Simon right now and run for the non-gas covered hall behind him.
You just sinned the fact that Spartan asks him where the hostages are twice, but now you're suggesting he killed the only person who knows where the hostages are?
Is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
Long before Arnold was miscast in Batman and Robin, Simon Phoenix was making horrible ice-cold puns that sucked.
Jeremy sends Arnold as Mr. Freeze. I only got one thing to say to that.
All right, everyone, chill.
Whoever made this movie was deeply f***ing scarred by Dennis Rodman in some way.
You have that backwards. Dennis Rodman began dyeing his hair as an homage to Simon Phoenix.
These barrels are full of C4.
That is quite ridiculous, but not quite as ridiculous as that laugh.
Over here. The bodies everywhere. There must be 20 or 30.
Bodies everywhere? Yeah, right. Worst case scenario, you guys have about approximately 10 bodies to a floor. Heartbreaking, unfortunate, and tremendous loss, yes, but bodies everywhere? No. Thanks to your exaggeration, you just cost a man his job and freedom.
Let's just discount the fact that the firemen literally told us the number of bodies there were, and the fact that a city bus can hold at least 40 people. John specifically states he performed a scan on the building, which means the hostages were not on the upper floors, which is where he scanned. This means they were at the basement level, which makes the fireman's statement accurate. I don't even know why I needed to explain that, though, considering the movie's information is immutable. How the hell are you disagreeing with the film's own explanation?
You got a lawyer, you better call.
But Simon Phoenix was the one who set the fire, remember?
They don't know that because they weren't there. The supervisor explicitly stated that he thought John blew up the building because of his renegade vendetta against Phoenix for the past 2 years, and that he wasn't supposed to be here.
Tired of this demolition man. I know you've been trying to nail this psycho for 2 years.
Because hostages were killed and Phoenix lied that John didn't care for their well-being, he was found culpable in part. This is called culpable indifference in law, and yes, you can be found guilty of manslaughter in this instance, as this mission wasn't sanctioned by the LAPD.
This movie was released in 1993, and this is the type of technology they thought they'd have in 1996. Somehow this director was at the same time very optimistic and pessimistic about life in 3 years.
But cryogenics has been a thing since 1971.
You've been sentenced to 70 years for the involuntary manslaughter of 30 innocent civilians.
70 years for involuntary manslaughter. Seems a bit harsh. I mean, Spartan was in the process of making an arrest. And let's be real, it was clear Phoenix was going to blow the place regardless of any interference or lack thereof from the authorities.
He actually got off pretty light. Involuntary manslaughter is a felony in California, one that can carry a 4-year prison sentence. And that's if you kill one person. He was responsible for 30 deaths, meaning he probably should have gotten 50 more years.
In the future, they invent cryosleep freezing technology and use it on criminals and prisoners instead of, genius scientists that might save our species' future and
I somewhat agree here. The purpose of a prison sentence is to rob someone of their living years, not preserve them so that they actually see the future. The only reason I'm not removing a sin here is because Jeremy is saying we should use this on living humans. For what, exactly? To send them to the future? And then what? Aren't you just kicking the can down the road? If we send everyone, then no technological progress will be made because everyone was frozen. And if we only send some people, that raises ethical concerns about the bourgeoisie getting preferential treatment, potentially leading to societal collapse. Not to mention the actual purpose of this is to technologically change his behavior, which stands absolutely zero chance of being used against regular citizens.
Movie unintentionally inspires Batman and Robin.
Chill.
Tough guy Demolition Man shaves his armpits.
Being more hygienic is a sin, apparently.
Whoa, his arms and body are in this position post-freezing, even though his arms are both in equal position here. Not to mention the open mouth that ends up mostly closed.
Cool. But what the hell happened to the sin counter during this sin?
His arms and body are in this position post-freezing, even though his arms are both in equal position here. Not to mention the open mouth that ends up mostly closed.
Looks like your editor farted when updating the count.
Movie unintentionally inspires FaceTime.
And Blade Runner did it 11 years earlier.
Damn, this futuristic, harmonious, technologically advanced society evolved from 1996 America into this in less than 40 years? Not bloody lightly.
The film explains what led to this society so you don't have to guess and then balk at your own guess. It also explains why this wasn't necessarily a good thing with the Edgar Friendly character, but I suppose you actually have to pay attention to get that information.
Demoni's asshole.
Lenina Huxley, you are fined 1/2 credit for a sotto voce violation of the verbal morality statute.
Thank you.
Future verbal morality code warnings suggest a bigger problem. In this future, every goddamn thing... Wait, is this the future or now?
I don't know what's worse. The irony that you yourself censor your swear words on YouTube because you're afraid of being demonetized, or the fact that you were so lazy you just reused the entire sound effect from the film and didn't cut out the part where you can audibly hear it say, Lenina Huxley. I'll send you for both.
Of all the 90s movies to own memorabilia from in the future, it's Lethal Weapon 3, somehow. That's like the 4th best Lethal Weapon movie.
Awesome. It's like the entire character of Lenina Huxley went right over your head. She's addicted to anything from the 20th century, including the hokey stuff. Besides, Rush Hour 3 is the 4th best Lethal Weapon movie.
Give her some action.
Boner engaged.
That's bonerist. Also, I see why this video is unlisted. The editing in this one is outrageously bad. It's desynced to hell and back.
Give her some action.
The hell you edit this with, an Etch-a-Sketch?
Wait, hold the phone. Spartan wasn't eligible for parole until 2046, and that was for involuntary manslaughter. The guy who actually murdered the 30 hostages and had numerous other crimes prior to that offense gets parole 12 years before he does? Who did Spartan hire as his lawyer and give me his number so I could never call that guy?
You're sinning the movie for something that is explained in the plot. Cocteau had Phoenix awaken so he could get rid of the Scraps and their leader, Edgar Friendly.
Rendered obsolete.
Rendered obsoleto.
Federal Statute 537-29.
El statute is 537.
Stop it!
For a movie sponsored by Taco Bell, the film is a dick to the Spanish language.
That is mad culturally insensitive. First of all, tacos aren't from the Spanish. They're from Mexico. And despite being a Spanish word, they have nothing to do with the Spanish language. Second, Taco Bell isn't Mexican. It's white American bull jive inspired by Mexican foods. Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 cultures.
Villain gets by retina code scanning security system by taking out eyeball cliche.
But it isn't a cliche yet when you're one of the originators.
Phoenix.
Simon, 745.
Simon
John.
Phoenix.
Assessing.
He's evil in a way you've never read about.
I thought Zachary Lamb.
Despite being one of the few members on the force with tenure that dates back to villain and hero's heyday, the characters don't trust anything the veteran cop has to say regarding the origin of the bad guy.
Where's your evidence they don't trust what he has to say? She simply asks him to hold that thought while she attempts to track down an active criminal that recently killed 3 people. Where are you getting they don't trust him in this scene? What? Did you think we wouldn't check?
Why would you make a feel-good-about-yourself information kiosk even be connected to the city's banking computers?
They're not, typically. Simon is hacking this kiosk because he's been programmed with advanced computer science knowledge, and in this and many other sci-fi universes, hackers do this routinely.
Possessed. Wonder if I can play the accordion, too.
Screenwriters cut budget by 2% by not hiring a narrator. Instead, they make characters occasionally talk to themselves when no one's around to explain the subtext.
Do we honestly believe this is out of character for someone demonstrating in real time they have abilities they didn't know they had? How many superhero movies have we watched where characters discover their abilities and then talk to themselves while experiencing them? How is this any different from that?
Can't tell if Phoenix lost a contact or found one.
Or he has heterochromia?
In place, 4 minutes, 15 seconds lapsed.
Jesus, the cops of the future have gone soft. If they're down to a response time of over 4 minutes. Even if I'm not Simon Phoenix out killing fools, I could get away with lots of devious in 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
2 things. A, yes, the cops in the future are soft. That's literally the premise of the film, stupid. And B, 4 minutes is an incredible response time. Dude, have you ever called the cops? They average 11 minutes, but you'd be lucky if they got there in less than 20.
Futuristic board meeting unwittingly inspires Skype.
You can tell this video is old as hell. Who still uses Skype? That's like still using AIM. Yeah. That's like still using AIM.
Justify destroying a $7 million mini-mall to rescue a girl whose ransom was only $25,000.
Fuck you, lady!
Recommendation?
Well, to be fair, John Spartan didn't do or say anything inappropriate in that clip. It was the little girl who got vulgar.
I really don't think the chief was referring to the little girl in that clip. They watched at least 4 clips, most of them showing Spartan whipping ass.
Give me a Marlboro.
Smoking is not good for you and has been...
Cigarette company agrees to a product placement that suggests smoking is bad for you.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Caffeine, contact sports, meat...
Are you
My 4 favorite things!
That was 3?
Additional toys and anything spicy.
And yet, despite the futuristic spicy food laws, Taco Bell is somehow allowed to win the fast food wars?
It's almost like you didn't pay attention to the dialogue about the fast food wars. Taco Bell is just the name of the restaurants now. They no longer serve the junk. The restaurants could be named anything. You know, like Pizza Hut.
People get a second chance, John Spartan.
Nothing, Lenina Huxley.
Futuristic society's insistence on first and last names is annoying.
Yeah, I too would find that annoying if I had 2 first names.
Used handfuls of wadded paper back in the 20s.
Haha, definitely don't ever tell this guy how to properly wipe his ass, though.
Jeremy talks to the screen cliche.
It's yells.
Know how to use the 3 seashells.
That's rude. Good movie joke, but still, this guy's ass goes unwiped this entire movie just for this joke.
So-called Comedy Channel cares more about a fictional booty hole than actual comedy.
A few minutes.
So he's gonna wipe his ass with regular paper in lieu of toilet paper? Yeah, that's still no good.
It does refute your earlier sin when you said it was gonna go unwiped. He gets most of it.
To the San Angeles Museum of History.
Simon, who would most definitely not pay museum admission, somehow got past museum ticket and security personnel to get inside the museum for this establishing shot.
I know this sounds crazy to someone that's never been to one, but a lot of museums are free.
That's racist as hell.
I mean, I don't disagree, but he is a villain, and I'll never understand a villain being bad or evil being something worthy of sinning the film itself over. He killed over 30 people. I just assumed racism was part of the uniform.
This far future movie's cars are not self-driving, despite widespread computer interface integration.
What? They explicitly have a scene showing they are capable of self-driving. Why do people just get on the internet and lie?
Put me back in the fridge.
That's hilarious, but you were in the freezer. as a fridge's average temperature would not begin to be able to suspend your animation.
Since we're being pedantic and all, the freezer is a part of the refrigerator. Go on, Google the word refrigerator and see how many of those appliances pop up without a freezer. He is technically correct.
The glass in this gun exhibit continues to be not bulletproof.
Because, as they explained earlier, the only place you'd ever be able to physically see a gun is at this museum. Why the heck would it need to be bulletproof in this society?
What is this? It's a glow rod. It's... Guess so.
What if that weapon were a kill instantly thing? Jesus, test your weapons on criminals at least.
What part of Demolition Man do you not get? Was it the part where he single-handedly demolished a $7 million building for a $25,000 ransom? He's specifically here because he apparently killed 30 people. Besides, with as sissified as this society has become, he should be surprised that it did more than tickle that dude.
Finally matched his meat. You really licked his ass.
Okay, I'll admit spoonerisms and malapropisms are hilarious, but this chick is supposed to be a hardcore student of John Spartan's era. How the f did she swap enough words in her study to create like 5 of these jokes in the movie?
I guess the Lethal Weapon 3 poster didn't tip you off, even though you noticed it. Huxley is something of a poser. She likes the 20th century, but she's not great at it. Why is this so hard to believe?
Negro library, and that...
This, with The Last Action Hero, makes the second movie you two f***ers have winked at each other. So when's the wedding, eh?
August 13th, 2010. Technically, it was August 3rd, but whatever.
Enjoy your meal, sir.
How could I when it's so f***ing tiny? That's like 6 bites.
It's literally 7. Damn, son, can you count?
You're gonna regret this the rest of your life. Both seconds of it.
This line of dialogue.
I'm sorry, that was a badass line, and I'm totally stealing it for the next time I sneak up on some dude in Warzone with proximity chat on.
Movie teaches viewers it's totally acceptable for a man to hit a woman, if and only if the fight is over fast food.
Jeremy is lying to you. He never hits her. She jumps on his back and he shrugs her off. That's the beginning and end of this wild banshee.
If you have auto drive, why was anyone in this movie driving manually earlier?
If you see they have auto drive, why is that sin where you said they don't still in this video?
Sandra Bullock isn't my futuristic girlfriend in this scene.
Yes, the pre-SJW CinemaSins, where they claimed hot women not being attracted to them were problems of the films they were in. 2015 was a magical era.
She's in his apartment, and not only found a set of futuristic sex helmets, but also changed out of the bedazzled dress into a sexy feminine robe thing that was just hanging out in this dude's apartment.
How drunk were you when you wrote this script, my dude? This is her apartment. Can't you tell by all the tacky 90s memorabilia?
An exchange of bodily fluids was one of the major reasons for the downfall of society.
I legitimately cannot argue with this statement.
Jeremy sends something he agrees with, cliché.
AIDS, there was NRS. After NRS, there was UBT.
Also, STDs lead to this future's absolute abolition of physical sex. Not condoms, not birth control, not anything sensible, just outright abolition of one of the human core needs. Cocteau is a goddamn idiot.
I know you're living in the year 2015, but we went through a pandemic 5 years after that for a respiratory virus that shut down the entire world for a couple years and prevented human contact in an incredibly similar manner as this movie. Now we're talking about Ugandan blue testicle. Trust me, you do not want to have sex after that nonsense.
Lights.
John Spartan immediately forgets the layout of these apartments moments after leaving one.
Blatant evidence that Jeremy sees John's actual apartment, yet he leaves in the sin where he mistakes Huxley's apartment for John's.
You know, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm sorry, wrong number.
Precise futuristic physical sex forbidding society still leaves room for accidental naked video calls.
They said you couldn't touch someone else. They never said anything about you touching yourself. Loopholes.
My Cro-Magnon friend are dead. Your family's dead, your...
Whoa. When did his actions warrant the death of family members, eh?
They didn't. The point is that he is a man out of time. His wife died in the earthquake of 2010. His daughter is technically still alive, but the scene with her was cut. I kind of wish they left it in.
Blow this guy.
That's what she said.
Wait, that's not the music. This is much better.
Pepper.
Guy who just learned he's eating rat takes another bite.
Denigrating a culture's cuisine? That's racist.
Spartan then finishes the rat burger.
Isn't this how vegans sound?
You know what this is?
I'm born in the 70s and half muscle car educated, but I have no idea what it is.
The Oldsmobile 442.
What the f?
Can you really call yourself a man if you don't know what a 442 is? Dude, you're about to rile up all the Prius-driving man buns in the comments section. Good. I hope they spill their oat milk lattes on the center console and short-circuit that piece of shit.
That guy likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want...
Dennis Leary does his best Dennis Leary impression.
It's pretty great, right? Wait, why are we sitting there?
I've seen more bullets hit a target in a Matrix movie.
Well, considering only 2 beings were able to dodge them...
Hello to my little friend!
Movie thinks quoting a vastly superior film will buy it some goodwill. Sadly, movie is wrong.
I'm gonna let you finish, but Scarface is not vastly superior to Demolition Man. I'd argue they're about equal, and even then, most people couldn't even tell you the plot of Scarface without Googling it.
Those moody bus passengers that you flew apart, trying to catch me, already dead!
Also, if the passengers were already dead, wouldn't that have shown up in the autopsy somehow? I mean, I know this is only the 90s, but they had mastered cryogenics. You'd think they'd be able to tell that.
Yes, but those people were also blown up in a gasoline explosion. Typically, you get an autopsy if you don't know the cause of death.
You remind me of an evil Mr. Rogers.
Evil Mr. Rogers, another dated reference, but so goddamn on point.
Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
Stallone is in one of those little claw games, and he doesn't even realize it. Nirvana is coming. The Mystic Portal awaits.
Jeremy makes a Toy Story pop culture reference.
He's finally matched his meat. You really licked his ass.
It's reckless abandonment. Looks like there's a new shepherd in town.
That's Sheriff.
Chief, you can take this job and you can shovel it. I'm with you. Let's go blow this guy.
Blow this guy away.
Whatever.
Perfect.